When Georgie and Mandy's first marriage first introduced Audrey into the center of the story, a lot of viewers had a very clear reaction, and it wasn't positive. She came across as critical, guarded, and at times, openly disapproving of Georgie. For many fans who had already grown attached to him through Young Sheldon, Audrey immediately felt like an obstacle. But as the season unfolds, something interesting starts to happen. The perception of Audrey begins to shift. And that shift feels intentional. In the early episodes, Audrey seems rigid. She questions Georgie's maturity. She worries about Mandy's future. She carries herself like someone who believes she's the only adult in the room. That energy can easily be read as controlling or cold. But the more screen time she gets, the clearer it becomes that her behavior isn't rooted in cruelty, it's rooted in fear. Audrey isn't just a skeptical mother. She's a protective one. Once you look at her through that lens, her actions start to make more sense. Mandy's life changed quickly. She's in a marriage that wasn't exactly planned, raising a child while still trying to define herself. Of course, Audrey is going to be concerned. Of course, she's going to question whether Georgie is ready. That doesn't make her the villain. It makes her human. What the show does well is slowly reveal Audrey's vulnerability. Instead of keeping her one-dimensional, the writers allow cracks to show. We see moments where her confidence wavers. Moments where she's not sure if she handled something the right way. That self-doubt softens her. There's also the subtle humor in her character. Audrey isn't loud or chaotic like some of the others, but she has sharp timing. Her dry remarks and exasperated expressions add texture to scenes that could otherwise feel heavy. And comedy, even understated comedy, helps audiences connect. Another key factor in the perception shift is how she interacts with Georgie over time. In the beginning, there's tension. You can feel the judgment in the room. But as Georgie proves himself, by working hard, by showing commitment, by genuinely trying, Audrey's tone starts to adjust. It's not a dramatic transformation. It's gradual, but it's there. And that gradual softening is important. It shows that Audrey is capable of growth too. She's not stuck in her first impression of Georgie. She watches. She reassesses. She evolves. That willingness to reconsider makes her far more sympathetic. It also helps that the show doesn't force us to choose sides. Instead of painting Audrey as wrong and Georgie as right, it presents both perspectives. Georgie is young but earnest. Audrey is cautious but caring. That balance makes their dynamic feel layered instead of antagonistic. Over time, you start to see that Audrey's intensity comes from wanting stability for her daughter. She likely envisioned a certain path for Mandy, and when that path shifted unexpectedly, she reacted. That reaction wasn't pretty at first, but it was honest. And honesty, even when messy, is compelling. The biggest reason the perception of Audrey is changing is because the show trusts the audience to look deeper. It doesn't spoon-feed redemption. It lets viewers sit with her complexity. By giving her emotional nuance instead of reducing her to a stereotype, the writers allow her to feel real. Now, when Audrey enters a scene, the energy feels different. There's still tension sometimes, but there's also understanding. You don't just see the critical mother, you see a woman navigating uncertainty, just like everyone else. That evolution is one of the quiet strengths of the series so far. It proves that first impressions don't define a character's entire journey. Sometimes it just takes time, perspective, and a little vulnerability to see someone clearly. And Audrey? She's becoming a lot more than the obstacle she first appeared to be.